The residency, earlier called the British Residency, comprises of several buildings that at one point served as the residence of the British Resident General and representative in the court of the Nawab. The residence is a living testimony of the First War of Indian Independence of 1857, also known as the Sepoy Mutiny in India. During this 5 month siege by the freedom fighters, there were large scale damages to all the buildings due to constant shelling. In this video, I will take you around the residency and try and enlighten you of the history of this magnificent British resident. The front gate visible behind me was referred to as the Bailey Guard Gate. It was constructed by Nawab Sadat Ali Khan in the honor of Captain John Bailey, the first resident. In the initial days of this complex, there was a practice of guard of honor that was started by the Nawab of that time. During the War of Independence, this post was under the command of Lieutenant Atkin and his 13 native infantry. The gates were banked up from inside with earth and a battery for 18-pounder gun to stop the siege. However, the freedom fighters attacked with gusto. It was badly damaged and Lieutenant Alexander, while walking in front of the gate, died of a shot. In recent years, this gate has been conserved as visible in this video. Just beside the Bailey Gate, as visible in the video, lies the ruins of the Treasury, a double-storied building decorated with Rajput and conventional Awadh arches. During the Sepoy Mutiny, the building was converted as an ordnance factory for manufacturing the Enfield cartridges, which was the primary reason to start the mutiny. The building suffered extensive damages and marks of cannon shot and bullets are still visible till date. A marble plaque is inscribed that honors the troops that fought with bravery. This memorial is believed to be built later, unlike the other parts of the building, since it is still intact. The residency complex houses graves of around 2,000 soldiers that sacrificed their life during the War of 1857. The next building on my left was that of resident surgeon Dr. Freyer's. There were multiple rooms that opened into the garden and each had a staircase connecting to the rooms above. In one of these rooms, a swimming bath was found and also a kitchen. It was interesting to note that there was an underground room primarily built as a refuge for hot weather of Lucknow. Incidentally, women and children were quartered here during the siege of 1857. In fact, Brigadier General Henry Lawrence was moved here after being mortally wounded and finally breathed his last on 4th July 1857. The most fascinating complex inside the residency is the banquet hall, where we are now headed, and probably this building draws maximum tourists to the residency. Thus, stay attentive and focused as I walk you through this ginormous structure. The construction of the residency was started in the late 1700 by Nawab Asafuddaulah. However, it was completed by Nawab Sadat Ali Khan. After a few years of the construction, it became British Personnel's hub. In the initial year, they were just delegates of the East India Company. However, as the reign of British India expanded, the city of Lucknow became their administrative center, and as an effect of that, the residency also came under the British Commissioner of Awadh. The pictures probably does not help us imagine how beautiful the banquet hall was and is true testimony of the Nawabi magnificence. I read on the information board that the hall boasted of intricate carvings on the tall arches along with the high ceilings and large hallways. The leftover of the magnanimous structure helped me wish that one day it can probably be restored to its former glory, and that will draw tourists from all over the world to witness how a policy of the British instigated the diverse set of communities in India to unite and revolt against their colloquial rulers. At the back side, there is an open space which was used as the kitchen in that era. Similarly, at the entrance of the residency, there is a beautiful fountain in the center that perfectly complements the beauty of this place. A visit to the residency cannot be complete without knowing the history of 1857. The British infantry, comprises of native Indians, were working for the East India Company for want of secure livelihood. During this time, the British introduced a new rifle cartridge that was believed to be lubricated with cow and pig fats. The Hindu worshipped the cow and the Muslim considered the pig as impure, and these cartridges were supposed to be bitten by mouth to remove the shell before loading into the rifles. This led to widespread protest, and finally it is believed that Mangal Pandey, sepoy in the 34th Bengal Native Infantry, is credited with starting the Sepoy Mutiny on 29th March 1857 at Meerut, when he refused to use the new cartridges greased with animal fat. In the end, he shot a few British officers who were sent to arrest him for his disobedience, and thus led the unification of the forces to gain independence. The Indian forces actually conceded defeat, but the British Parliament dissolved the East India Company and started the direct rule with the consultation of Indian subjects. The entrance to the main building of the residency had a large portico. It is extended to a wide and lofty veranda accessible through spiral stairs through inside the building. There were numerous lofty windows and the roof was protected with Italian bars. It was common to have underground room due to harsh summers, and it was not an exception in this building too. During the siege, the European ladies and children were housed in these underground rooms. Residency was once the imposing three-story building that used to have a library, games room and offices. Besides, at the front of the main building there is located a large memorial cross which was built for M.G. Sir John English along with his wife Julia. He died in the siege of Lucknow. As I walked to the museum, I realized it doubles up as a government office too. Some of the fascinating portraits are available of the Nawabs. The beautiful model of the residency is a special feature inside the museum. In this video, I have tried to highlight some of the key features of the museum for my dear viewers. I hope you will love it. Had I not visited here, I would have never known of Hazrat Mahal, also known as Begum of Awadh. In addition to being gifted an irresistible physical charm, she had an inborn genius for organization and command. She seized control of Lucknow in association with the revolutionary forces and set up her son, Prince Billi's Qadir, as the king of Awadh. She has driven from pillar to post, but she made a retreat with fortitude. She rejected with contempt the promises of allowances and status held out to her by the British, against whom her hatred was unrelenting. In the end, after bearing misfortune and misery throughout the period of resistance, she found asylum in Nepal, where she died in 1879. This is an extensive double-storied building and was occupied by Mr. Omane, Judicial Commissioner, who was killed by a cannon shot on 5th July 1857. After the death of Sir Henry Lawrence, Brigadier English established his headquarters here. The Begum Koti was built by Nawab Asaf-ud-Dawla. Subsequently, it was sold to Sackville Marcus Taylor, an assistant resident. After that, it changed hands in periodic intervals. Malika Muqdara Aliya or Vilayati Begum was the European wife of Nawab Nasiruddin Haidar. After the death of the Nawab, Muqdara Aliya, along with her mother and stepsister Ashrafun-Nisa, came to live here. Ashrafun-Nisa built a mosque and imambar adjacent to Begum Koti. This is the only building built in traditional architectural style of Awadh, unlike other buildings of residency complex.